I yield back.
Thank you. Mr. Andrews.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Admiral Mullen, it is an honor to be in the process with someone whose integrity is as unimpeachable as yours, both in the quality of your advice and the strength of your character. We thank you for it. And, Madam Secretary, thank you also for your terrific contributions here. Madam Secretary, I think you've succinctly stated our purpose in Afghanistan, that we ultimately leave behind an Afghanistan that will never again serve as a base for terrorist attacks in the United States and our allies. I've always thought that al-Qaeda was the parasite and the Taliban was the host in Afghanistan. And our military mission essentially has been focused on destroying the parasite and either weakening the host or making the host unwilling to become the host for the parasite. And I note that Admiral Mullen says we need to support an Afghan political process that includes reconciliation with the Taliban who break with al-Qaeda, which I think is a wise and understandable view. So with that framework of what we're trying to accomplish, it's my understanding that when the administration took office, Madam Secretary, that we had about 34,000 troops in Afghanistan. The surge built that up to 98,000. And when the present withdrawal plan is completed, we'll be at 68,000. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And at present, there are 47,000 troops from allied countries that are in country. What do we know about the plans of the allies to withdraw those 47,000? How many and when?
Well, I think in the discussions we've had, I think we have an in together, out together principle, very strong sense of resolve right now in ISAF. And I think that as we've talked about bringing down our surge forces, some of the allies are thinking about bringing down their surge contributions, but we should remember
in that context, I'm sorry, of security for Afghanistan, the target number of ANSF forces is 305,000, and as of April we were at 286,000. And the public reports indicate that by about a 3-to-1 ratio, those units were deemed to be effective as opposed to dependent. Let me ask you a question that's not a rhetorical question. Given the strengthening of the ANSF, the presence of allied troops that we don't expect a precipitous drop in, we expect it to be somewhat on par with ours, what will the mission of the 68,000 remaining Americans be after September 30th of 2012? Why are they there?
I think they are there to continue the implementation of the strategy on the road to successful transition, which will be completed at the end of 2014. We expect that Afghans will be fully in the lead across the country. We are on a glide slope towards that Lisbon goal, and this drawdown is totally consistent with that, and the strategy and the mission will keep aiming for that goal.
Well, Admiral or Madam Secretary, either of you can answer this. In terms that our constituents would understand, and that we would understand, what will these 68,000 troops be doing in the country after September 30th of 2012? What will their mission be?
First of all, it'll be to sustain the transition, but specifically, and this is from my perspective, a rock-solid principle from Iraq. It is the partnership piece. What we see in Iraq today, and what we've seen throughout the shift in Iraq of our mission to the assist side, is the enormity of the impact of partnership. And that's where we are, even now, focused with the Afghan security forces. And you talked about the ratio. And in 2 or 3 years from now, it will be much better than it is right now. So that will be, if you will, a significant part of the main effort. But that doesn't mean we won't have forces still involved in combat to continue the gains, if you will.
Admiral, when the day hopefully comes when the Afghan security forces are at their optimal point and can control and defend their own country, what will the appropriate U.S. troop level be then?
It's indeterminate right now. I mean, dramatically reduced, clearly. The model is still Iraq, and then that gets into what's being worked right now in this strategic partnership approach between Afghanistan and the United States, and what does it mean long term in terms of any kind of U.S. footprint? I just don't have the answer to that.
Thank you very much again for your testimony and your integrity.